Hey, welcome to this session. In today's session, what we're going to be looking at is some high intensity interval work. Today is going to be our first time that we're looking at air squats or squatting without a target. We're also going to be looking at squatting without a load, so this is going to really build on our spatial awareness and give us a good check-in of how well we trust our own abilities and how well we know our own abilities when it comes to the squat and how deep and how fast we can go with them. Okay? Today's also going to be the first time that we program burpees in this line of programming. So burpees are a really foundational movement. Essentially all it is getting on the ground and then getting back off the ground. But today in our practice we're going to be looking at how to do it the most efficient way possible and some ways we can scale it to make it most appropriate for our workout today. Okay? But before we start with that, what we're going to launch into is a bit of a prepare. So we're going to get our body warm. Today, because it's high intensity, what we're going to be looking at doing is starting a little bit lower intensity with our warm-up. So we're going to head out for our 5-minute walk. Again, with our RPE, we want it to be similar to where it has been in the past. So we're not looking at setting a new record today. We're not looking at taking it super easy. What we want to do is match what we've done before in the past. Once we come back into that 5-minute walk, we're going to do a little bit of prep work on our knees, ankles, and toes. So let's go through 2 rounds of a bit of a warm-up circuit. The first move we're going to see is a 3-point calf stretch. What we're going to do is spend 15 seconds in each position of our 3 points. So these 3 points are kind of arbitrary, but let me show you where they live. So I've taken a knee, putting 1 foot down on the ground. I'm looking at stretching this calf and this Achilles. My first point is going to be out to the outside of the toe. And what I'm going to do is put some weight into the knee and push it to the outside of the toe without any surface of my foot coming off the ground. Okay? 15 seconds. Then the next one is directly up the line of the toe. This one here we probably get the most range of motion out of. Give it our 15 seconds here. And then our last one is the ugliest one of them all. But we're going to bring a knee on the inside, still making sure none of the foot lifts up, and then shifting our weight forward and over this one here. Okay? If this feels really good, feels easy, you're not feeling like we get enough stretch, what you can do is instead of putting weight on top of the knee, you can put your hands on either side of the knee, and you can use your chest to push down that knee. That's also a great way of increasing the stretch as we go through them. Okay? The next move we're going to see is some forward stepping lunges. Now this is, we've done some reverse lunges and workouts today. This is the harder version of that lunge. So what we're going to do is play with it here in the warm-up. If it feels terrible or we can't quite get the knee balance in line, what we can do is sub this out for a reverse stepping lunge. But let me show you this more challenging version. So instead of stepping back, what we're going to do is start with our feet shoulder width apart. We're going to bring 1 foot forward into a lunge. And then touch our back knee to the ground. And then as we step back, we're going to kick off this leg and bring our feet together. So why is this harder? Because we have to align our knee to the outside of our toe on the fly. With a reverse stepping lunge, what we can do is look down at our toe and we can line it up. You get that knee to start tracking outwards. On a forward stepping lunge, you kind of have to do it as you land that foot to make sure it's still moving in a healthy position. Okay? Also, that kick back is a lot harder than a standing tall. You can use your hands on these if you need to, but remember, if it is quite challenging, it feels like it's too much for a warm-up, let's sub them out for those reverse stepping lunges. Okay? Our third move we're going to see is our plank leg lifts. We have seen these before. So we find either our high plank or our low plank can be found here as well. What we're going to be doing is just lifting our legs up one by one. Remember, we want them to stay in line, so they're going straight up and down, and they're not getting any wider, using our glutes to help them lift them up. Okay, and the last one we're going to do is a squatting movement. We're only going to do 10 each round, and it's going to break all the rules of squatting that we've laid out so far. Okay, so we're looking at a toe crouch squat. This is going to really increase the angle we see in our toes and our ankles and our knees in our squats. It's also going to give us a feeling for how it's going to feel not having a target to squat down to. So how these look, I'm going to show you a harder version first, and then I'm going to go to an easier option. Okay, the hardest version, we're standing tall. We're balancing on our toes, and then we're going to crouch down to the ground. Almost like a gorilla type of position here. And then from here, we're going to stand up without our heels touching the ground. Okay? Straight away, lifting those heels up. Suddenly we've got an angle in our toes that we don't normally see. At the bottom of the squat, we've got an ankle at our ankle that we don't normally see. And we're also got a depth in our knees that we don't normally see. So this is a much deeper squat than what we would normally prescribe. Okay? Now let's say that was very, very hard. You got down fine. Most people find getting down the easiest parts, the coming up, which gets challenging. What we can do is turn this into a bit of a crawling action that still gets us to see those crazy angles, but we're not under as much load. So how this looks as we come down to the ground, what we're going to do is dig our toes in, and we're going to climb ourselves forward, and then climb ourselves back into that squat. Okay? So instead of being a squatting action, it's more like a crawling action, but at the back side of that position, we see the exact same shape, the exact same stretch. So we're going to roll through 2 rounds of that, get our body warmed up, wake everything going. Today for our practice, first thing we're going to look at is some block squats, because we love to do blocks for all our mechanical movements. So we're going to see is 3 sets of 5 block squats. Remember, the block squat comes from the toes and up to our knees. A chair is the perfect one. Okay. Now, we're not having anything behind us when we do these squats, so be aware that it's up to you to stop yourself from getting down to the bottom. I'm starting with my toes on the chair, my knees are in line with the chair, putting my hands out over the chair, starting with that hinge, then the knee bend, bring myself down through an air squat, and then standing tall. The block is stopping my knees from traveling forward in the squat. It's also going to stop my heels from coming up. So all the action needs to start with a hinge, then a squat, then a stand. With your depth, don't panic that you have to go super low with these, okay? As long as the mechanics are fine, you are better off doing a perfect squat that's not that deep than a super deep squat that turns a little ugly. Let me show you a shallower squat with this one here. Hinge, bend at the knees, standing tall. Same deal, my knees aren't touching the chair at any point with this one here. Okay? 3 sets of 5. The best thing you can do is enjoy the pause at the bottom of the squat. That's where we need the pause to be, a little bit of a breather down there, okay? That's going to solidify where that position is for you. So when it comes to the workout, you're not going to be feeling in the dark. You're going to know exactly how deep you need to squat. Let's look at our next movement in our practice before we jump into our workout. This is the burpee. It's pretty infamous. A lot of people dislike them immensely, but they are one of the most functional movements you'll ever get. Because the moment you can't get off the ground is the moment you start having falls rather than just falling over. Okay? Let me show you the hardest version, and then I'm going to work them into an easier version so we can build our way up to the harder ones. Okay? How we would like to have them happen is we're going to reach down to the ground. We're going to put our hands on the ground. We're going to shoot our feet back into a plank position. We're going to control ourselves to the ground. We're going to bring ourselves up. And then we're going to do a bit of a scoot and a jump to bring our feet back to our hands. And then from here, we're going to have a little celebratory clap to say, well done, we've done it. Okay? Let me show you that a little bit faster. Okay. That movement involves a lot of agility, a lot of coordination, and when you do a lot of them in a row, it involves big lungs because you get really puffed really, really quick with it. Okay? How we can make this movement a little more friendly is by, instead of working with a jump back, jump in pattern, we can look at turning them into a bit of a lunge. So it still starts with our hands on the ground. But then from here, we're going to take 1 leg back, 2 legs back, down to the ground, up to our knees, 1 leg up, 2 legs up, still a celebratory clap. Let me show you that pattern with a little more speed. One. Cool? So using that step up, step down makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to hold your breath as much as you do it. Now, let's say both of these options are just beyond our ability. What we can look at doing is using an elevated hand position to make these a little bit easier again. Okay? This chair isn't something I'd suggest anyone else use. It's not the stablest chair, and it does pay to have something a little more stable here. A box, the side of a deck, a fence, a table, anything would be more reliable than this chair. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use it. Okay? So how this looks is the exact same thing. We can look at a kick back, kick in, or we can look at that step in, step out, but the pattern is still the same. Okay? Hands on the ground, on the chair, foot back, chest to the ground, chest on up, foot in, happy clap. Okay? With the jump out position, fingers crossed this works. Hands down, jump, jump, higher. Okay? You don't want this object to be too heavy, too low. If it's too low, you're going to find that push-up being a little bit unsafe. The higher it is, though, the easier it is. Okay? It does need to be a bit of a push-up to get ourselves down there as well. What we want to have happen is a nice brace midline the whole way through it. So if we're unable to push up and we end up getting to like a funny sprawl position, it looks like this. What we are starting to do is put more stress into our lower back than we really need to, because you'll feel a bit of a shake happen at the bottom. Okay? What we want to do is find an option, a tailored option of a burpee, where you are able to complete 6 in a row without stopping and breathing. Okay? You'll be breathing as you do them, obviously, but nothing that's going to stop you. Put your hands on your knees and have a big moment of breath before you do the next one. Okay? So let's use a bit of time. Let's find who that option is going to be. 6 in a row, and then we're going to jump into our workout for the day.